Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Johanna and welcome to my cozy book space. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing my December mid-month wrap-up. I read 9 books in the first half of December, so let's get right into it. Okay, so first book that I ended up reading in the first half of December was A Wolf in the Garden by Allegra Hall. I ended up giving this book, I believe, 3.5 stars, but I'm rounding it down to a 3-star. I was low-key really disappointed in this book. Basic premise is that we have our heroine Ellie and our hero Van. Ellie has been a human her entire life, and she had met Van when she was younger. They are childhood best friends, to lovers, to strangers, to lovers again. Ellie does grow up in a very poor household, and Van comes from a family that is obscenely rich, and Van's family really welcomes Ellie and Ellie's mom into their family with open arms, except Van's father, but that's just like a whole different case. Yeah, so when I first picked up this book, I went into it assuming that it was a second chance romance. It is, but it also is over in like 0.2 seconds. So I was expecting major groveling. I was expecting just this angst and kind of this heartbrokenness to it all, and I didn't get that at all. I knew this was a paranormal romance. I had been highly anticipating it. I had only heard really good reviews. The artwork was stunning. Just everything about this book called to me. When I picked it up, I didn't even look at the page count, but this book is like more than 400 pages. I don't know, but it's obscenely long. I just was bored by the end of it, not gonna lie. So for this book, I actually do read it in a weekly reading vlog, but I'm not sure when that goes up, but definitely stay tuned. I basically go into more depth on why this book was really disappointing for me. But if you're looking for a romance, a paranormal romance with a lot of werewolf smut, this one's definitely for you. There is plot, but it moves very slowly. There's like plot, and then there's like smutty scenes, and then there's like a little bit more plot, and then there's like smutty scene, etc, etc. I just think that the characters got together way too soon. I really wish that there would have been a little bit more of a push and pull. And yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it, but I was also kind of sad about it. Anyways, moving on, I ended up picking up Wed to Jack Frost by Layla Faye. For this one, I gave 4 stars too. I think it's more of a 3.5 rounded up to a 4-star, just because I was really anticipating this new novella from Layla Faye because I know it's gonna give the wintry vibes. I mean, it's Jack Frost. I just wasn't in the mood for the type of romance that this ended up being. This is a reverse dom sub, so the heroine is the dominant and the hero is the submissive, and I do love those romances. I really do, but I feel like I have to be in the mood for one. And when I had picked this up, I just wasn't aware that this was what it was going to be. So it was a surprise, but I just wanted it to be I wanted it to be different. Not to say that it's bad, but it's not what I was expecting, I guess, is all I'm trying to say. But we have our hero, Jack Frost. He actually signs up to the marriage agency as a joke. He lost a bet and he signed up, and he didn't like cancel his submission in time, and they found a match, which is the heroine, and the hero actually goes to the agency to decline said match. He does not want to get married at all. The heroine is like waiting for her match to come, and she's like, he's late, and she's like very strong. She's a strong heroine. Obviously, she's like the dominant in this relationship, and she doesn't know that she's a dom, but she slowly finds out those things with the hero, and they just kind of explore their kinks together. I really enjoyed it for what it was. They do go on a little quest, which I thought was fun, and I loved seeing the hero like slowly but surely fall in love with the heroine, and I loved seeing the heroine finally find her found family and having Jack's family really like welcome her with open arms, and that was really sweet to see. They are just honestly perfect for each other. Next up, I ended up reading Satan by Layla Faye. This one I ended up giving 4 stars to. I really loved it. I had gotten this recommendation from my friend friend Ava. She recommended it in one of her videos, and the cover is ridiculous. I hate the cover. That is not at all what I pictured the hero to look like, even though he is described kind of like that. That's not what I pictured, but I was really surprised by this. So we have a heroine who is dyslexic, and she comes from a family that is very mean to her. They always side with her sister, and her sister pretends to be this really nice and kind person, but really she's this evil little B word, and she like torments our heroine. Our heroine finally has enough, and she films a video of the sister kind of showing a little bit of her true colors. The sister was able to like spin it in her favor, and the heroine refuses to apologize, so her family like forbids her to going to Christmas with them. So she ends up spending Christmas by herself, but since she was young, she always wrote letters to Santa, and she still continues to do this. This is like her form of an outlet, like kind of journaling, and she burns them in the fireplace, and that is that. Like, that's her outlet. But what the heroine doesn't know is that on Christmas Day, when she's written all of these letters, because she is dyslexic, she's been writing Satan and not Santa. So he has been receiving these letters, every single one. So they go on this quest, and it is the hero kind of trying to seduce the heroine, and they finally like get together, and it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it for what it was. It does give the Christmas spirit. I really loved both of these characters together, and I loved how our hero was a little bit like, he was dominant and he wanted the heroine, but he was also slightly insecure, and I just loved it. I really, really love Layla Faye's writing, and this one was a really good Christmas read. Next one I ended up reading was Not So Silent Night by Marlo Roy. For this one, I ended up giving 5 stars to. This one is utter perfection. I loved it so much. So we have our heroine Rue, which we have met in the previous books. This is a interconnected standalone novella, and we've met Rue before. She is the Omega, and then we have our hero Sloan. He is the Alpha, and Rue, she was rescued from this pack that was very physically and mentally abusive towards her, and Sloan is actually the Alpha that ends up saving her, but they remember that encounter completely differently, and so Rue has always thought that Sloan hated her, so she's always been afraid and kind of hesitant towards him. So the pack ends up doing this thing for Christmas where they'll do a secret Santa, and Rue ends up getting Sloan, and she's like trying to come up with this present that she could possibly give him, and she's been like kind of like low-key stalking him and like seeing what his hobbies are and seeing what she can get for him, and she ends up wanting to draw something for him because she's a really good artist, etc, etc. It gets ruined, so she goes to the horse barn on this like a really snowstorm night, and she gets snowed in, but she doesn't expect Sloan to end up going to the horse barn, and they kind of get snowed in together. His forced proximity, they find out that they are fated mates, and it was just beautiful. It was spicy. It was everything that I wanted in a Christmas wintry setting, and I loved it so much. I just think that y'all need to get on Marlo Roy's Omegaverse series ASAP. It is so good, you guys. You are missing out if you don't read her. Next one that I ended up reading was Mafia Virgin by Mila Finelli. For this one, I ended up giving it 4.5 stars, but I'm running it down to a 4-star. So this one we have our heroine Emma and our hero Giacomo. I don't know how to really say his name, but Emma is the last sister of the 3 sisters from all of the other books, and she is wanting to become a doctor, and she's been taking care of her sick father, but because the whole mafia organization family is wanting Emma to get married to Giacomo because he needs to produce an heir and it will combine all of the families, but neither of them, and I loved this aspect that they both don't want to get married to each other, but they are literally forced to, and they kind of have this like enemies to lovers, this hate to love, but they have to be forced proximity because they do end up getting married, and she has to move in with him, and they're both just trying to figure out how they're going to separate, but they fall in love in the process, and it was super spicy, super smutty. The tension, the chemistry was all there. The buildup was insane. There is a breeding kink. There is just virgin heroine. There is all of the good smutty things, and it was just so entertaining, so fun. I really, really enjoyed it. I think the only thing that was there anything that I didn't like about this? I feel like there was a thing that I didn't like about this, and I feel like I also read this for a weekly reading vlog, so you might get more of my more in-depth, in-the-moment thoughts in that weekly reading vlog. But overall, it was just fun. I loved the continuation to the series. I loved the fact that we had a hero that was slowly falling for a heroine, and he is also kind of this tortured hero, and he's just going through it as well. He doesn't think that he's lovable. He thinks that he's cursed. And girl, I just ate that up. You know I did. I loved it so much. So yeah, solid 4 stars. After that, I ended up reading How the Monster Stole Me on Christmas Eve by Jade Price. I got this rec from Ava as well. This is between Cindy, and I'm guessing our hero is Grinch, okay? Because this is literally, if you have a thing for Grinch, read this novella because it's literally for the girlies. They're on their knees for Grinch, okay? So it was a fun, good time. I believe I gave it 3 stars. It's a short novella about how Grinch stole Cindy on Christmas Eve. And then next book I read was With Love from Cold World by Alicia Thompson. I won't go into too much depth for this one because I'm doing a full holiday romances reading vlog, so stay tuned for that. I gave this one 4 stars. This is a work rivals to lovers. Like, they go from work rivals to friends to lovers, and I thought it was really beautifully done. Both of them have trauma from their past, and I like how they were both there for each other. And I do love also the LGBTQ representation in this book, and I definitely recommend it to read. I kind of went into it without any expectations, and I really enjoyed it. As for the Christmassy aspect, this book does take place in Florida, and this theme store is basically the only time that we get the Christmas vibes. We have snowball fights, we have a snow globe that has like fake snow, we have a Secret Santa, we have holiday parties, we have mistletoe, we have all the things that comes with Christmas. So I really enjoyed it, and I still think that you should read it for the winter time. I thought it was really good. Next one I ended up reading was Christmas on the 13th Floor by Lee Jaku. So this is actually a reread of mine. The first time I read it, I gave it 5 stars, and this second read, I ended up giving it a 4 star. I love all of Lee's novellas. I think they're all really fun. I ended up rereading this one on a whim just because I remember it being a Christmas novella. And we have our heroine Presley and our hero Roman. Presley is Roman's personal assistant, and Roman likes to drive Presley crazy, but Presley is also an overachiever, and she always strives to do her best, and she rises to the challenges, and she thrives on that. And Roman really honestly does it because he knows that Presley can do it, but he also loves to piss her off, and it's so entertaining, and the smut is always so good. And they go to this like gala, and there's like sex toys, and the spice is really good, the mount on Roman, and there's like an elevator scene. It is a workplace romance. There's a little bit of that forbidden aspect. Amazing. I loved it. Can't get any better than that. Last book that I ended up reading was Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. I ended up giving this a solid 4 star. I will give you guys the basis premise for this, but I did read it for that holiday romances reading vlog, so stay tuned for my overall thoughts. So we have our hero Beat and our heroine Melody. They are actually the son and daughter of these 2 women that were in a band, a girl band essentially, that was super viral back in the day, but they ended up splitting up, and they come together again for this live stream television contest to win some money to basically join both their mothers to make at least one performance on Christmas Eve at the Rockefeller Center. But both of these characters have their own personal issues with their mothers. Our hero is getting blackmailed. Our heroine has never really truly felt loved by her mother, and they're both very different, but they both come from the same world, and they both really understand each other, and they have this instant like connection in that way. And again, the spice is so good. I mean, it is Tessa Bailey. Both of these characters go through so much. I think the only thing that really fell flat for me was the plot, the overall wrap up of the book, but I loved it. I mean, come on guys, it's Tessa Bailey. I truly loved it. I annotated the heck out of this book as well. I read it so quick. It's so bingeable. I overall just really enjoyed it. Like, I loved both of these characters. I think that it's definitely worth the read. So that was the last book book that I ended up reading in the first half of December. Let me know down below in the comments what you're currently reading. And if you don't want to comment any of that, then go ahead and leave me a snowflake emoji down below in the comments. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.